call the council meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see you here tonight. We will start with prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call.
Let's pray. Lord, I just thank you for today. Lord, I do pray for our city council. I pray for our fire department, our police department. I pray for the people that serve our community. Lord, give them wisdom and guidance. And Lord, let our lives and our decisions and our choices bring glory and honor to you. I pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. Roll call, please.
Bassett.
Here.
Barth.
Here.
Beverly.
Here.
Baker. Yep. Ridgway.
Yes.
And Jones is absent.
You have the February 18th regular council meeting minutes in your packet. Does anyone have any additions or corrections?
I'll make motion to approve.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Ridgway.
Yes.
Baker. Yes. Beverly.
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
You have the bills list in your packet. My packet's out of order. Does anyone have any questions about the bills?
Cheryl, is that our last payment for that striker cot?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the only question I had, Mayor. If nobody else has a question, let's pay the bills.
Second.
Roll call.
Bassett.
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
Beverly.
Yes.
Baker. Yes. Ridgway.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have Corey Wan. He's a park board member. He's going to address council about the up-and-coming day in the park.
You want me to address?
Yes, please.
Okay, what we'd like to do is June 29th, we'd like to do a day in the park. This day in the park would consist of all kinds of events that we got planned. Things like bounce houses for the kids. We're going to have, right now we got about 12, 14, 15 different vendors coming in, some food trucks. We plan on having a car show, cornhole tournament, basketball tournament. The one thing that we were probably going to need is to see if we can get some funds up front to cover some of the needs for like a tent. Because we'd like to have bands down there. We're going to, like Bruce Silcott's donating his time to DJ portion of the event. But we would need a fairly large tent to accommodate people. We're going to have to probably get a few porta-johns to rent for people to use. We'll have the concession stands open for restrooms as well. What else do I need?
Of course, free swimming that day.
Yep, the pool will have free admission for anybody who wants to swim. The hospital is getting involved, and they are going to do a 5K color run. The event's scheduled from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The hospital would like to do a 5K color run. They'll start about 8:30. They'll start at the hospital, and they're going to kind of plan out their route. It'll end up at the park. We're hoping the fire department can get involved and maybe do like some type of breakfast at the entertainment tent or somewhere by the pavilion for the runners. We still need to set up times for the different events, so we like to schedule them throughout the day. Yeah. Yep. Sure. We would like a dunk tank, that's for sure.
I didn't hear.
Volunteers, me and you, all of us.
Point over here.
We're going to get in the run. You can drive the golf cart. You can bring up the rear.
I would get the fire department down there if I could.
They can just serve breakfast when they're done.
We are taking, charging the vendors $50 for a spot. And then the ultimate goal with this whole day in the park is to generate enough funds. It probably won't happen the first year. It may not happen the second year, but the ultimate goal is to generate enough funds so we could end the day every year with a fireworks display off the sledding hill back there. Kind of bring fireworks back to the village for everybody.
If I can add a couple things, helping with the park board and going back and forth with council, they've really taken this project and ran with it. Val and Gary and stuff and Corey. I think it's going to be a real good day to the park. They want to do something that's family oriented, all kinds of different activities, but keep it low cost and or free for the kids and the families to come down and just enjoy the day. We don't want people coming and having to spend a bunch of money to do the activities. That's not the idea. It's to enjoy our park. We have a great park, and just come down and have a fun time, and come down for a while, and they have to go home fine. But spend the day down there if they want. So I want to thank the park board and everybody for really rolling with this. I've been watching. They text a lot, and ideas are flying all over the place, and they're all great ideas. It's just have to come together, and they're starting to meet more often. I personally would like to see if the village can help with like I said, the tents, or if we need tables or chairs, or the restrooms kind of thing, to help fund some of that stuff this first year or so.
Doesn't the fire department, don't you do the tables and chairs?
We possibly can. We have a few sponsors to pay for, for instance, we have a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and we have Hicksville Pharmacy stepped up, and they're going to sponsor that. So all the entry fees, the park board or the village would, take all the entry fees, and that could go into our account to, help pay for the events for next year. We've got a sponsorship for our softball home run derby already. So we're trying to get sponsorships for the events that's going on to basically pay out the winners. And then the board would be able to, take all the proceeds from all the entry fees.
Corey, do you have any idea what the cost would be on a tent, the size you want?
I was thinking a 40 by 60, just doing a pole style tent. I've looked online through Taylor Rental. It depends if, how many days you want. It's a minimum of 1 day, but it seems like a 1 day minimum. It's more money than if you had it for 3 days. I'm going to guess probably around the $700-800 range for that size of tent. I don't want to go too small, but we don't need something completely insanely large.
But that includes, of course, them setting it up and all of the sides that are on it, the protection, and I think that's probably best since we can't have the pavilion, especially for people who want to be playing bingo and things like that, that may be heat sensitive.
You're going to set it up in a grass area, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I know we have a church bring maybe some blow-ups in. We thought how many they had, we didn't know, but if we had to maybe go rent a couple more. I know the fire hall, they do that up there Halloween. And Scott, you got some nice blow-ups down there. Do you know what much those run?
They run between $700 and $900
for the day?
Mm-hmm. We run them in Fort Wayne.
All right.
Hey, Corey, is the home run derby on the Pee Wee Diamond still have the chance?
Yes, 60 years and older, yes.
Is this rain or shine? It's kind of hard to follow stuff
yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Hopefully the weather cooperates.
There really is no plan B.
Yeah.
If anything, we'll have a mud bog.
We know there's a graduation party already scheduled for the pavilion that day, or we use it, but we want to keep that area kind of open for that event that evening.
For the parking.
Whatever time is they're planning on doing that, so, we'll have to keep that open, or we'd use that, but. Have we ever done this before? To me, it's a community thing. We're trying to get people down there and enjoy the day and keep it inexpensive.
A couple times we had day in the parks where we just grilled hamburgers and the high school band played, and it was just for a few hours through lunch, where we just fed everybody hot dogs and hamburgers, and it was free. And that was only a couple times, though, when Janice Meyer was mayor. Nothing to this extent. Sounds wonderful.
Just to add to, sorry, Corey, it really is, I think, that whole idea of family centered, because not only are we going to have the bouncy houses, we're going to have a petting zoo with the pony rides, and the superheroes are coming in for a few hours. The library is going to volunteer and have readers there. So people are really getting on board as far as doing things for the kids and really making it family centered.
Talked about like a wagon ride kind of thing, and like I said, there's all kinds of ideas that are still coming together. That kind of stuff costs money.
Sure.
I'm not sure if we can get sponsors for all that, but it'd be nice to have it in there.
Can the village legally rent the tent for them?
This might be a better question, but in the park doing it?
Yeah. I mean, the Parks Board's still a village entity.
Okay, well, that's the park board, and he's asking for assistance.
Well, you're saying the park's part of the village,
Right.
I don't know why I can't pay for it.
Okay, well, that's why you guys throw a wrench into my thoughts. So why don't we as a council say that the village will cover the tent? Kind of what you're asking for, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we really haven't, as a park board, have not really discussed what we would need for an upfront cost. I mean, a lot of little things, like the petting zoo would be wonderful, but that's going to cost us around $300 for about 4 hours for a petting zoo. That's just from one individual that I've spoke with.
I was trying to get you a tent, now you want a petting zoo.
Put the petting zoo in the tent.
Yeah.
I guess what you need to find out is where Cheryl would have that money in the budget.
Where would you have that at, Cheryl?
Would the park be able to take out contractual services
She wouldn't, she said.
out of the park budget, out of contractual services?
She would have to.
So that'd be about the one I could think of. I'm not sure how much you have in that line item, but contractual services are part.
They could be used for council, do you think?
There's 5 in it, 5,000.
None of that's really spoken for ahead of time, it's just
Well,
set
we
aside
didn't really
for...
pre-budget, when we were doing the budget for the park, this was just kind of a thought.
Right.
And we really-
Well, when I was on park board, we always set aside so much just in case you had to hire colors or something in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, but we
That guy
didn't.
probably knows a lot
That
about it
wasn't
because
part
he has that
of-
going on in his church.
There's a lot of years we
Yes.
had left over, Steve, so.
Right.
You can probably help him a lot.
But for the park itself, the pool's separate, but the park
Right.
looks like it's 5,000. So
Yeah, but it comes out of our.
I just didn't know if we had something else happen.
Most definitely, yes.
Well, I just think we ought to kind of say that we would help with something, since the whole rest of the town has jumped on board.
Come and see me when you have numbers.
Okay.
Okay, Cheryl told him to come and see her when he has numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks for all you're doing. That'd be a great event. Okay. We go on to the boards and commissions. The beautification committee has minutes in the packet. And HIX-TV board has minutes in the packet. Is there anything you'd like to comment on, Mike, that you want in the village minutes?
No, like I said, it's still working on some equipment updates. We're always trying to think of new ideas in the community to maybe videotape and do the side. You got the great school events and you have the Huber events and things like that. But if anybody has any ideas of other things that people might be interested in, please get a hold of myself or Bill or Diane. We sit on that board and you can do some other type of video and promoting that through the TV.
And we're always looking for youth and adult volunteers for all types of jobs.
Bill, have you had more contact with SMTA? Because I know I brought them to the school that one day for some stuff at the school, and they were in your office and talked for quite a while.
From what I understand, they are in the process of procuring the equipment that they are going to need and are planning to use to be able to put the station on their system. I have not heard back from them since that meeting, so I'm not sure where that stands.
I could add that. I talked to Rick today. He was waiting for us to do our upgrades. And I know in our meeting minutes, we were talking to Mediacom of going HD. But he was, and I told Rick to call you. I gave him your cell phone number today because he had said he had talked to you and Larry. So we need to keep that ball rolling, and if I can give you Rick's number after.
Yeah, no, I have it, yeah, that's fine, so.
Yeah, he was kind of waiting for us on our end with the.
I'll try to get a hold of Mike Dickerson over at Mediacom then and see if I can get any information out of him about whether or not we might be willing to upgrade our overall station to HD quality or not, so then I can let Rick know whether it's going to happen or not.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you. Then, you have park board minutes in your packet, and I guess Mike was at the meeting. He can tell you what they discussed.
No, like I said, we actually had talked a lot about the day in the park, of course. Jason Schooley came down, and he had an idea about a project there that he wanted to maybe spearhead when it comes to maybe a walking path at the park. I know we've talked about that many years that I've sat on council, but it's another asset for the park if we can get something like that going, and depending on how Jason wants to maybe look at that, he's working with park board and maybe looking at the aspects of it. So that's about it. They're hiring their lifeguards there for the season and getting them trained. They have to go through training every year and be licensed, so we got a good staff for that, and they work hard as young people certified.
Are they going to have any help picking out on limbs up down there? There's a lot of trees.
I'm not sure about that. I know there's been a lot. I see some limbs
There's
down
a
there.
lot. I didn't know. They get volunteers to help or...
I can't.
No, I just said his guys are probably tired of picking up tree limbs.
Thank you. We're going over the park board minutes. We will then go on to the CRA Housing Council, about February 20th. The meetings are in the packet. They've approved their first application, which was submitted for a new home built on West High Street. There's some other new homes going around up in town that they're going to contact. And I would also encourage anybody that's going to be doing some remodeling on rental houses or their personal houses to consider going to visit Mike Bailey at the zoning office on North Main Street and talking to him about the benefits of applying for a CRA.
So, question, where it says more applications will be sent to other new homeowners. So how far back did they go? How far back's new? Because I thought it was all supposed to be pre-approved before.
It does go back a time.
1 year.
I think it is 1 year.
Is it 1 year?
But I also thought pre-approval
Yeah, everything was
required
pre-approved for all of them, I thought.
For commercial and industrial,
Yeah.
residential.
So you can see that they now have all their members of the CRA Housing Council put together in one of the pages in there. And thank you to the committee members who have stepped forward to do that. So then we'll go on to the Planning Commission. They met February 21st. If someone else would rather explain all this, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'll just tell you that one of the things that they heard was they heard two items. One was to discuss a building and driveway out by the township building, and the other was a lot split requested by Baker McMillan, also known as Crook Miller, and both were approved. So Justin will have to come for the zoning. I don't know whether he'll...
Well,
whether it's
You can
a,
correct me, but nothing can get done till it's.
Next meeting is the meeting after the 60 days is up. So I'll have a resolution approving that at the next meeting, and then once that's done, everything can start to happen.
okay, thank you. We will go on to, well, are there any other boards and commissions that want to report on anything? Okay. We'll go on to the council committee reports. Water, Sewer, and Refuge Committee met February 20th.
We did, and please add, and I forgot this in the beginning of my minutes, you'll see some numbers there in the minutes about the geotechnical testing and also sample boring for wells. We had, spaced it, my fault, two gentlemen from Jones Henry. We had Pete Latta and Clifford Gordon were here to discuss well sites, what you have to do to find the best well site for not just now, but for future. We're talking 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years down the road. We want to have a site that's going to maintain Hicksville and add to it if needed, if the town keeps growing and they need more water supplies. So they came, talked about some different aspects of it. It's in the minutes there, but that's how we come with those numbers. They said, with geotechnical testing, it's 25,000, 30,000, but it gives you better layout of the land underground for your well sites. And then to do the boring or test boring was about $2,000. So after the meeting, I want to go to special counsel and ask for a possible land purchase and litigation. But that's down the road. But anybody have any questions on that meeting there?
Okay, thank you. Are there any other committees that would like to give a report? Okay. Administrators report?
Nothing, other than Cheryl and I will be in Columbus Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I plan to come back. Cheryl coming back.
He's driving,
I'm planning
so
it.
wherever he goes, I have to go.
We'll leave Wednesday morning about 10.
All righty. We will then go on to the solicitor's report.
The only thing I have is ordinance 2019-01, a first reading by caption only, an ordinance prohibiting the establishment and operation of medical marijuana cultivators, processors, and retail dispensaries within the village limits.
Okay. Troy, do you have anything else to report to council? Anything you're working on?
No, the only, Mike, are you going to get with, what's her name, about the letter I need to send?
Yeah, Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn. Yep. And have her email me that, and other than that, that's the primary.
Anybody have any questions for Troy? Okay. We will go on to the department heads. May we have the chief of police, please?
A couple things. One, I'd like to recommend Officer Tyler Maynard to be promoted to Patrolman 1. He has completed his time and probation. His year was up February 19th. He has been evaluated and would like to recommend him for Patrolman 1.
I would recommend Tyler Maynard to be promoted to a patrolman 1.
I would support the mayor.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bassett?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Baker? Yes. Ridgway?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, just some, for the month of February, we had 332 calls for service. And out of those 201 of those were actually cases that we worked or was involved in. So it's been another busy month for 2019. So other than that, that's all I have, unless you want me to go over this report.
Yes, I gave the chief a copy of something we got from the Ohio Municipal League right before the council meeting, and it's involving concealed carry permits, and I just didn't know if it was simply that people could go online and look at reports now or what, so I asked the chief if he could figure it out real quick and report to us.
Basically what this is because I used to do the concealed carry, I was in charge of it, but all it is quarterly, each sheriff's offices provide stats to the Ohio Attorney General's office to how many permits you've issued, how many were new, how many were renewals, how many were suspended, revoked. So it's a quarterly report the sheriff's office does. So all he's doing, all this letter is from Attorney General Dave Yost, is he's putting out what the total statistics were for 2018. It looks like they issued 69,375 new licenses, 98,927 renewals. So basically what they're saying is down here at the bottom where they can go online and review stats. My guess is, without actually going to the site, that's probably breaking it down per county of what was issued, what was renewed. So, but that's all this yearly report is.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
All right.
Does anyone have any questions for the chief? Thank you.
All right.
Fire chief.
I'd like to thank everybody that came out and supported us on the Ladies Auxiliary First Raffle. It looked like everybody was having a good time.
Why are you looking at me?
I remember seeing you there, but that's about it.
I like your picture in the paper.
I was modeling pretty well. This Saturday, we have a breakfast from 7 to 11 at the fire station. Free will donation. March 29th is a Friday at 11 a.m. The grant writer will be here. You guys want to come meet with him if you're available. Fire school is coming up. It is March 23rd and 24th in Bowling Green. I'll be out of town the 22nd, the 24th, attending some classes there. And I think that's about all I have right now.
Good.
Well, I think before I forget, for you and Mark both, we're still on for the 13th at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Unless something more important comes up. Not that I wanted to come up, but...
Any questions for me?
Do you need the police and fire committee at your grant writing meeting?
I don't need them, but if you would like to come, you're more than welcome. Any of the
What time was
council-
that?
It's at 11.
It's at 11. I didn't know if you had questions for him that I couldn't answer.
29th at 11?
The 29th at 11.
Where are you meeting at?
At the station. It's our initial meeting. He will see what he thinks we're, have a good chance of getting, and if we need to wait a while or whatever.
Any
I-
questions?
Checked on a couple people that's dealt with him, and he's pretty much a straight shooter. He's not going to go after something you have no chance of getting. It's not going to waste your money.
Have you made your final decision on which truck you're going to replace?
No. It's still in progress.
Okay. That'll be a handy piece of information to have on the 29th, though.
I want to discuss it with him and see what he thinks. There's a lot of people that are in the same position we are. Older equipment better than newer equipment.
Understand.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are on the park report. Steph, would you like to come up to the microphone and fill us in on the park report?
Okay, I think all of you are able to read the park report. A couple of things that I just wanted to add, or to remind people, I think, that even though the park board is part of the village, we are a volunteer board. We don't get paid. We have these meetings, and so we're working hard on this community event. And I wanted to point out that we are strongly encouraged to do this event by members of the village. And I really would like to implore you to think about when these funds are raised through the festivities, and there won't be a lot of funds granted, but, you know, all of the entry fees and things like that, that we somehow earmark a particular fund for the park board to make this a recurring event and make sure that it stays with the park board and isn't kind of yanked away, as can sometimes happen when things go south. So I just wanted to point out that I think that's probably an important thing, to make sure that this kind of event can go on from year to year, to make sure that those monies stay with the park. And that's all I've got to say.
I think we all agree with you very strongly on that, and any donations the village has gotten at all, always have a special line item for donations in that account so that those funds are never spent on anything other than what.
And so the funds that we get through this will go to that to the park board.
Cheryl and I have spoken about setting up a line item
for that particular event.
For an event for that.
Okay.
So.
All right. Any questions for the park board?
We are going to approve the lifeguards tonight because we have the list, and
yep.
So.
Could I add something real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
That was the park board, because I was reading more of the minutes and everything. We have like the Little League Baseball Association, where they want to upgrade the diamonds. They want to put good dugouts in all the boys' Little League fields. You know, they raise money every year through the concessions and sponsorships and stuff, but they had come to our park board meeting and asked if the park board would be willing to help pay for half the cost of these new dugouts. Well, we didn't have that in our budget. We're like, you know, maybe if it was brought to us last year, not saying, you know, it's a great idea. But we were kind of said, well, we wouldn't mind helping, but we are kind of tied with council's decision on what is being willing to spend and what is sitting out there. So, you know, that's something we maybe need to address with.
But they are willing to foot the bill for the first one,
right,
and pay for that, which is wonderful. Another way to make the park look nicer.
Sure. And like I said, the fields are nice. They work on them hard, and we got a lot of young people, little boys and girls, playing on those fields all year round. They've done dugouts in the other fields too, which just they're getting more towards the Little League wants to do them. I said we might not be able to do it this year, but if we can maybe budget it for next year and help a little bit, maybe that can happen. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steph.
While we're on the subject, then you have a list in your packet, I believe, of proposed recommended employees for the park. New lifeguards, Sophie Clark and Nate Sullivan. Rehire lifeguards, Bianca Mazur, Serena Snell, Peyton Yoder, Kendall Billman, Michael Myers, Boston Hoopman, Shelby North, Sari Contreras, and our park employees are Val Shaw as director, Gary Shaw, Armand Haver, and Gage Yoder. So I would recommend that we rehire all these park employees.
Make that motion for the mayor's recommendation.
Roll call, please.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
And I would like to say thank you for all those park board members who are serving, and all of our committee and board members that volunteer their time for all these committees. We couldn't do it without them. Okay, if we have nothing else for the park, we'll go on to the fiscal officer's report.
You have your fund status and your monthly purchase order report, if you have any questions about that. The February utility and income tax collections, February mayor's court and police department collections, the revolving loan fund list for January and February, because I forgot to give you January. And you have an updated committee and boards and commissions list.
You need to change one of those.
Which one?
Nursing home.
Just 1, 2, 3.
What else have we missed?
Your disaster committee.
Oh, yeah, let's get to that.
Does anyone have any questions for Cheryl about any of those? The income tax collections look good. I'm just trying to get down through my list, Cheryl. Keep up with you. Okay, well, if no one has any questions for Cheryl, I guess we're probably at the mayor's report, and the first thing is the Fort Defiance request letter for $2,975. You'll recall last fall, I believe it was Mrs. Weiner came to our meeting to ask you for funds to cover the cost of the cats that they've picked up around Hicksville. And we pretty much said we would discuss it if they billed us for anything. So I guess I wanted to get an answer from you before Cheryl went ahead and wrote a check out and put it on the approved bills list.
I don't care to vote, but I'm just curious. Did the city of Defiance and the county ever do anything?
They asked them too, did they?
It
know,
was in the Defiance Crescent that they were both doing something.
Okay. Well, I've never heard for sure. It still says in here they requested from both, and this time they were here.
Right.
Neither one seemed interested in doing anything.
Did anybody else read the newspaper article in the Defiance Crescent that discussed this?
I thought we had decided against them.
We didn't vote.
We didn't
No.
We tabled it until,
We agreed to put it on as a line item, and then we'd agree that.
There you go.
But,
That's against it.
we kept saying,
That's not a ringing
endorsement. To pay that, so we'd vote on them before.
Because they break it down into percentages.
Yeah.
yes.
I asked her the question about the Hicksville addresses.
That question was asked during the meeting is, are they in town?
Yes.
Were they in town? And she couldn't answer that.
Which means whatever, well, and I think the fact that she couldn't answer it means she
Right.
said it was by address, so there's some from Hicksville Township, presumably, among other addresses, Milford Township, those people all have mostly Hicksville addresses.
Paulding County.
And Mark Township, yes.
Hicksville addresses.
Some of those that are grouped into there, so whatever our percentage is probably higher than it should be.
And the thought came to me, and I hate to even say this, but I don't know if she even realizes that the fairgrounds is county property.
Right.
When she mentioned all the cats that they've got at the
Right.
fairgrounds, and
True.
so I'm not saying that matters.
Right. No, you're right, though.
I don't know, I just think we cut all the budgets 20%.
Yep.
And, we told Park Department, Fire Department, everyone else, there's things that they wanted, didn't need, but more of a want. And I don't know if this is more important than some of those that we turned down.
I think if, we've had some people request about or talk about our cat problem in town, the number of cats, and if you really see the Humane Shelter really maybe looking into that issue and taking them, or I know the dog ward doesn't take them, when people call about it. If you do see a decrease, or they're over here at physically, changing that problem.
I think that's a good point. Have any of you received complaints about the cats in the past year or so? I mean, over
We've
the
had
years, we've had many
gentlemen here.
complaints about
I'm not
cats.
coming to talk about it, but
Just amongst myself.
Yeah.
When I see them wandering around my yard.
Oh, yeah, I've got,
I don't call anybody.
they go across my yard in herds, there's herds of them.
You have a hatchery?
Yeah,
Nice though, Ron.
they'll sit out there, they'll graze off there in that one corner, they'll sit there and graze, and then they'll break camp and herd on across the yard. It's bad. This town is full of cats.
Weren't people gonna have to take the cats to them? I don't think they were coming here to collect any of them.
They have come here to collect some at the fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds, yes.
And then release them. But, yeah, people are encouraged to take them over and get them fixed and bring them back.
Some of them that's been in that herd out there behind my house.
You could catch them if you wanted to.
Yeah, you couldn't catch them if you wanted to, and the gene pool is gone. I mean, it's just wiped out. There's cats with ears growing out the back of their heads. And
Sounds like there's a problem.
there is a problem.
This job. I got a bunch in my neighborhood.
So, does anyone want to make a motion either way and get it voted on, get it on the table and voted on?
Make a motion to help the Humane Society out, give them the $2,900.
Is there a second?
I'll second. I'd like to see some, but I'd like to see if they can actually come over and maybe take a look at some of the problems we have, but.
And, I mean, if you want any further discussion, we can do it, but I mean, you don't have to send them a whole $2,900. You could send them something less, but.
Well, can we put that into the motion?
He's the man.
Can we do that?
You gotta be specific with what you're gonna do. I mean,
Well, let's
make a motion to say $1,500 or
I'll make, yeah,
whatever.
1450 would be 29, right?
Yeah.
So I make a motion, we give them 1450 now and see how it goes with the other 1450 in limbo.
Do you still want to second
Yeah,
that
I'll
motion?
second that.
Okay. Does everybody understand the motion is to give them $1,450, half of it, see how it goes.
See if they can
That
help
sounds
us,
fair.
help us thin the herds down.
I wouldn't be able to.
Roll call, please.
Ridgway.
Yes.
Baker.
No.
Beverly.
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
Bassett.
No.
Thank you for getting that taken care of. We'll go on to the letter we received, the Citizens Advisory from the Ohio EPA, inviting us to the public hearing on March 12th. That is a Tuesday, and I have a mandatory annual meeting with the Health Department at Defiance, so I cannot go. But I really feel like Hicksville should be represented down there.
Yes.
So, is there anybody that knows they can go and will go, or are we just not going to be represented?
What about our administrator or his helper?
I heard that.
Irritated sigh. Got it.
Just sigh.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys can do what you feel is right. I cannot make it. I have another meeting that's mandatory for me. So, I'm not going to force anybody to
You might do
go.
that, Mike, or whoever you are?
If I can't, I will find somebody that can.
Okay. I agree with the mayor, who should be represented. And also, Mayor, before this meeting is adjourned, I'll be in executive session.
Okay. So then, let's see here. Cheryl made me all kind of notes today. Did everybody get the parking violations and crash reports and the Hicksville Police Department? You guys got all that? Okay. And breakfast on the road. The Defiance County Commissioners and other elected officials will be present for breakfast from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Saturday, March 9th, and that's at the Firemen's Annual Spring Breakfast from 7 to 11. So stop by, share your comments, questions, and concerns for your community while you support local first responders. I don't know who those other elected officials are, but they're probably you too. I'm just guessing. So commissioners, other elected officials, breakfast Saturday morning, 8 to 10, but the volunteer breakfast is from 7 to 11. Okay. The Defiance County Economic Development Office is having their Community Improvement Corporation's annual meeting and luncheon on Tuesday, the 19th of March. Please RSVP with payment, which Cheryl will print out a check for anybody that wants to go. There's lunch and president's remarks, and then Lieutenant Governor John Hughes is going to be there, a review of 2018 successes and 2019 goals and objectives. So if you can go, please contact Cheryl. I will be going, and so we'd love to have more of you come if you want to. Cheryl, I went through all my papers. You have a note here about the 18-cent gas tax. Could you please, that was from OML. That was a, what were they calling it, a call to
action.
Call to action, because
If you're serious about that, the legislation's coming up, and he thinks it's going to be voted on this month. And so we need to call our legislators and make them vote for it, if we can. Well, then don't do that. But the money comes to us to fix our roads and streets.
I would say if I understood right from what I checked online, it would generate for us about an extra $100,000 a year. Now, I'm not thrilled with paying another 18 cents a gallon tax personally. So I'm getting tired of some people calling about potholes that really aren't potholes, and there's nothing I can do about it till I get paver in. But, it would generate a lot more money per year.
thank you.
The state is operating in the hole on borrowed funds that they're doing all this infrastructure work on, and that is their goal. Is for this, they wanted 28 cents to start with. And so their goal is 18 cents is going to take them out of arrears and.
Well, since we're talking some bad news, I've unofficially heard now it's going to be 2023 till they come into town, not 2022. Haven't got the official letter yet.
For paving?
I'm trying to figure out how to do it, but I know we need to do some major work on Antwerp Drive and parts of North Main. So I'm looking into it.
Thank you for the information, everyone. So that is all I have. That's all that's on the agenda. I believe Mr. Beverly said he went to go into executive session.
I would like to have an executive session for possible litigation and a possible land purchase.
So that's a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone want to second it?
Nobody wants to.
Roll call, please.
Everybody wants to go.
Bassett?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Beverly?
Sure.
Baker?
Yes.
Ridgeway?
You're welcome to go sit in my office or the front office or wherever you want to, so you don't have to stand.
Session questions.